In the heart of a bustling city, Marta Fowler sat within her frosted glass office, her silhouette framed by the intermittent flashes of lightning illuminating the night sky. She stood poised, draped in a flawless silk suit, her gaze unwavering from the sprawling urban landscape below. To those who knew her, she wasn't merely a part of the environment. She was a force of nature unto herself, calculating, always a few steps ahead of the pack. Some women, it was said, walked into a room and made men melt. Marta Fowler, however, dictated the climate in any space she entered. On a pristine glass counter lay the Ice and Fire collection, a selection of luxury products, each bearing the Pizzaverse logo. A perfume, a lipstick, and a silver flask stood as testament to her ethos. Marta's vision catered to the unflinching woman and the man who dared to underestimate her prowess. Cold Shoulder, perfume. With its aroma embodying control tinged with vengeance, it tantalized the senses with top notes of black cherry, steel resolve, and a whisper of subtle regret. Red Flag lipstick, a rich crimson hue that declared presence. Once it touched your lips, negotiations, not kisses, ensued. Frostbite highlighter, imparting a dangerous glow that whispered with steely defiance, "I'm fine, though perhaps you aren't." Afterburn, whiskey candle, enticingly scented with firewood, bourbon, and lingering tension. It was an aromatic signature suited for environments as varied as an office, a penthouse, or the scene of an intricate confrontation. Marta, delicately spritzing Cold Shoulder before entering a boardroom, her presence elevating the atmosphere to one of heightened anticipation. She was a woman who seldom needed to raise her voice. Her very aura sufficed to elevate eyebrows, bank accounts, and at times tempers. Chaos was her stage captured in slow motion. Marta navigated effortlessly through pandemonium as arguments erupted and documents fluttered to the floor around her. Unfazed, she maintained her path with a knowing smirk, an embodiment of ice when necessary and fire by choice. Marta Fowler exemplified a seamless blend of elegance, suffused with a hint of danger, often said to be cut from the same reflective surface. The Ice and Fire collection, control never smelled this good. And as a cautionary note to the unaware gentleman, should they find a product of hers upon their pillow, it signified a loss already conceded.
Mugs, what the fuck you doing in there, you prick?
The Midwest Murder Network, how Kansas City controlled Vegas, Cleveland, and half the country. A Pizzaverse Studios historical event. Written by Bambi Palermo, narrated by Vincent DiPrio. The Truth America Never Heard. Most documentaries start in New York, some start in Chicago, a couple wander into Vegas. But no one, and I mean no one, ever starts where the real backbone of American organized crime lived, the Midwest. Quiet towns, flat highways, gray union halls, city blocks that look boring as hell, but beneath all that silence, a murder web so sophisticated, so coordinated, that the FBI decades later said, "We underestimated the center of the map." The mob wasn't an East Coast phenomenon. It wasn't a Vegas fairy tale. It wasn't even a Chicago story. It was a Midwest-run machine, with Kansas City as the nerve center, the quiet landlord of the American underworld. This isn't a story about mobs. It's a story about infrastructure, about how highways became arteries, how trucks moved more than merchandise, how unions became armies, how the center of the country became the center of organized crime. This is the Midwest Murder Network, the shadow empire that made the coasts possible. The Midwest, where crime became a science. The Midwest was perfect for organized crime, stable cities with booming industries, strong unions that controlled labor, strategic highways connecting both coasts, corruptible politicians hungry for favor, low media presence, unlike NY or LA. While New York guys fought for headlines, the Midwest fought for control. Families in Kansas City, Cleveland, St. Louis, Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit, Omaha, Des Moines, Minneapolis, all created a spiderweb of influence. This wasn't random crime. This was logistical crime built like a supply chain. Kansas City quickly realized they didn't need to have the most soldiers. They just needed to control the roads. Kansas City, the quiet empire. While people mocked Kansas City as a cowtown, the Civella family turned it into a financial hub of the underworld. Boss Nick Civella wasn't a loud, flashy leader. He moved quietly. He bribed with precision. He killed only when necessary, and when he did, it was clean. He controlled the Teamsters pension connection, union votes for national elections, Vegas casino skimming, Midwestern gambling, political appointments, interstate hit contracts. Under Civella's leadership, KC became the booking agent of American mob violence. If the Gambinos wanted someone gone in Detroit, call Kansas City. If Chicago wanted a witness silenced in Cleveland, call Kansas City. If Vegas skim numbers were off, Kansas City sent a man to adjust the math permanently. The interstate assassin system. This is the part of the story the feds never fully understood. Kansas City, Cleveland, Detroit, and St. Louis all agreed to a brutal, brilliant strategy. Never kill someone in your own city. Never use your own men. No patterns. No signatures. No heat. Hits were assigned like UPS packages. A sample chain. A Detroit witness flips. KC sends a St. Louis hitter. Hitter uses a Cleveland safe house. Weapon bought in Kansas body disposed in Iowa. Remember the cornfields I mentioned? Payment routed through a Milwaukee union. Nobody could trace anything. It was murder outsourcing a cooperative system of professional killers who never left fingerprints, never created local patterns, and never bragged. Ray D'Angelo, St. Louis's Jimmy Ulmer, Cleveland's Mayfield Road Torpedoes, Milwaukee's Balistrieri Hitters. These weren't gangsters. They were independent contractors of death. Kansas City and the Vegas. Skim, the secret economy. Everyone thinks New York or Chicago ran Vegas. Wrong. The Midwest built the financial backbone. The Vegas skim worked like this. 1. Money is counted in the casinos. 2. A second count quietly removes unreported cash. 3. That cash goes into suitcases. 4. Couriers, often Cleveland guys, fly or drive it to Kansas City. 5. Kansas City launders it through unions, trucking, farms, and fake businesses. 6. Profits are distributed to Chicago, Cleveland, and Milwaukee. Vegas was the ATM. Kansas City was the accountant. The Midwest Murder Network protected count rooms, couriers, loan sharkers, casino managers, mob investors. If anyone threatened the flow of Vegas money, they vanished. Cleveland, the Midwest War Factory. Cleveland became the perfect murder zone. Why? High corruption, political instability, weak police coordination, proximity to Detroit, KC, and Chicago, strong Teamsters presence, nightclubs, gambling houses, and loan sharking routes. Cleveland was the Midwest's testing ground. Bombings, arsons, disappearances, unsolved murders. Organized crime didn't exist. It was environmental. Guys like Shondor Burns, Danny Green, Angelo Leonardo, Joey Gallo, visiting from New York. Operated in a city where everybody was connected to somebody who answered to Kansas City. Unions, the mob's national army. You cannot understand the Midwest murder network without understanding the unions. Teamsters locals across. Kansas City. St. Louis. Cleveland. Omaha. Chicago. Detroit. Des Moines. Weren't just workplaces, they were mob offices. Unions gave the network. Trucks to move money and bodies. Pension funds to launder fortunes. Worker rosters for fake jobs. Health plans for injured enforcers. Political leverage in elections. Access to judges and sheriffs. A national presence with local cover. Jimmy Hoffa wasn't just a union leader. Impeach, the YouTube scumbag bounty hunter. In a land where clowns stream lies and snakes wear sunglasses indoors, one man rides the algorithm alone. They call him Admiral Impeach, the YouTube scumbag bounty hunter. He don't chase fame. He don't chase subs. He hunts down grifters and drags them through the mud till the truth shines clean again. Tony Bum Pizza thought he could run his mouth and ride away free. But out here, words carry weight, and his were heavier than a sack of unpaid bills. Impeach lassoed that loudmouth so fast, even his excuses got rope burn. Then came Chicago Maggot hiding behind live streams and bathroom mirrors, shouting tough while the Wi-Fi lagged. Impeach rode in quiet, like justice on a deadline. And when the smoke cleared, the Maggot was bagged and tagged. But it weren't over. No, sir. 'Cause next came the wild one, the hooker bee from Lombard. Buzzing around with fake tears, glittered lies, and a purse full of problems. Impeach didn't blink. He just tipped his hat and said, "Ma'am, you're about to get deplatformed. So if you're out there lying, scamming, and crying clout on the open net, just remember, there's a cowboy riding through your comments. And when he shows up, it ain't for tea." Impeach, the YouTube scumbag bounty hunter. Coming soon to a live stream near you. He was the banker for half the Midwest Mafia. And the murder network protected him like the golden goose. The murders themselves. Notable hits tied to the network. A Detroit bookie found dismembered in Ohio. A KC informant dumped in the Missouri River. A Cleveland labor reformer blown up in his car. A Chicago Union treasurer shot twice behind a barn. a Vegas pit boss who disappeared en route to KC, an Iowa trucking inspector who turned up in Oklahoma. None were solved. Most weren't even investigated properly, because each hit was out of state, done by unknown men, without motive on paper, without patterns, without fingerprints, without connections. Professional murder on an industrial scale. The decline of the Midwest machine. What killed the Midwest murder network? On wiretaps. The feds bugged. Kansas City kitchens. Union halls. Vegas casinos. Cleveland hotels. KC bosses never knew their own houses were bugged. Hoffa's disappearance shook the system. 3 RICO Act. The FBI could now tie multi-state crimes together. 4. Vegas gets corporate casinos became legit. The skim dried up. 5. Old-timers died, and the young guys were sloppy. The network slowly collapsed quietly, like it lived. The web still exists in shadows. The coasts get the movies, the coasts get the fame, the coasts get the myths. But the real power, the real violence, the real organization, it lived in the Midwest, in men who drove long highways at night, in bosses who whispered instead of shouted, in unions that moved money like blood through a body, and in killers who had no names, no faces, and no hesitation. The Midwest Murder Network wasn't a gang. It was an ecosystem, a decentralized system of secrecy, discipline, logistics, and fear, strong enough to shape Las Vegas, violent enough to control Cleveland, and organized enough to influence Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis, and beyond. It didn't need movies. It didn't need fame. It didn't need attention, because power that stays hidden stays powerful longest. This was the Midwest Murder Network, the skeleton of American organized crime. This documentary was produced by Pizzaverse Studios. Written by the razor-sharp pen of Bambi Palermo, narrated by your consigliere Vincent DiPrio. If you want more of these deep dives, the real stories behind America's shadows, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, join the family. Thanks for watching.